Marcus Aurelius, also known as the emperor-philosopher, was known to be the last good emperor of Rome. It was after his death in 180 AD that Roman Empire continuously crumbled till it faded decades later. Put to bed in 121 AD in Rome, lost his parents at quite a young age, and was adopted into a prominent Roman family, where he was groomed for leadership from a very young age. In 161 AD, however, his adoptive father passed away, and he had to take over as the emperor of Rome. Throughout his life, he was quite influenced by philosophy and Stoicism as a result of the influence of his adoptive father. Stoicism itself is a school of philosophy that emphasized rationality, self-control, and the pursuit of virtue. As an emperor, he fought lots of wars. He was confronted with scenarios that had him see the emptiness of life. His parents, particularly his mother, whom he lost at a young age. All of these possibly influenced his line of thoughts. In his quiet moments, he would put down in a book his personal reflections and philosophical thoughts. This book was like a personal journal to him that he wanted it burnt after his death, but for some reasons it was preserved. Today, it's among the strongest writings in Stoic philosophy. Some would refer to it as the Stoic Bible. This book is known as Meditations, and it offers a practical advice on how to live a virtuous and fulfilling life, emphasizing the importance of inner tranquility, resilience in the face of adversity, ignoring things that are worthless, and focusing on one's own character. Among the texts in this book included a particular one which says that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. This video shall be more centered around this particular text. Years ago, when I was much younger, we had a course in school about dyeing and bleaching. We saw how a fabric of an entirely different color immediately changes to another color, and stays like that almost forever as soon as it's exposed to a dye. This is the same thing that happens when your mind is constantly exposed to a particular line of thoughts. The world you see when you open your eyes is nothing but what your mind presents to you. This is why Schopenhauer said, "The world is my idea." If all your life you have been in a place where a cow is rather worshipped as a deity than butchered for meat, you will never see any reason to think of meat when you see a cow. You will rather think of a god to venerate. The reverse, however, shall be the case for someone who lived close to a slaughter, where cows are butchered daily, and beef is a regular part of every meal. This is just an example of how your thoughts can influence how you see life. We don't see the world for what it is. We only see it for whom we are, and whom we are, on the other hand, is made up of the thoughts we think. When we look at life outside of us, it is often through the lens of our thoughts that we see it. The meaning we give to the signals that come to us cannot be far different from our own mental configuration. Two people can look through the same window, but they're seeing entirely different things. It's because their mental conditionings are entirely different from each other. The soul is the entity that drives and controls our physical body. It is constituted by our mind frame and perceptions. In the human anatomy, there is not any part of the body known as the soul. The soul is only a compartment of the human being which the eyes do not see, but you acknowledge it as soon as you interact with anyone. The kind of things a man says to himself, the kind of thoughts that stays in his head, these are the things that influence the soul. A person with a sweet soul is usually known to have a light and optimistic thoughts about life. It radiates into their perspectives, and as soon as you interact with them, it throws off on you and you get charmed. You don't ever want to leave their side. The most terrible people you've met too, it can still be seen that it all started from the kind of thoughts they think, and as soon as they open their mouth and talk, you never want to be around them again. The thoughts you allow to stay in your head determines how you shall see life. If your mind is saturated with dirty thoughts, you shall only see life through a dirty lens. Like you train your muscles to grow and become stronger, you can equally train your mind to engage in positive thoughts alone, regardless of what appears to be happening around you. how this concept can be applied in desexualizing your brain. A proper understanding of how the thoughts we nurture in our minds can impact our physical and everyday life shall help us try our possible best in making sure it's good thoughts alone we accommodate. With the help of this understanding, bad thoughts shall be avoided like a plague, and as soon as we notice they're creeping in, we shut the doors at them instantly. What your eyes would see when you look at a half-dressed young lady could serve as a trigger for you to accommodate lust. That same sight can be quite disgusting to someone else. The smell of cigarette can be a trigger for someone to smoke. That same smell can be choking and irritating for someone else. It is all about perspectives which come as a result of mindset. To defeat lust and cleanse your brain of everything related, you must learn to keep your mind clean. Get rid of erotic thoughts from your mind. Consciously avoid the triggers that can possibly make them well pronounced, and occupy your mind with thoughts that are purposeful. How to fill up your mind with purposeful thoughts? First of all, your life needs to have a definite direction. Where do you want to see yourself years from now? In what way do you want to see yourself helping the world? What are you doing now to get yourself there? When you basically have nothing you live to achieve, it is usually the time all manner of sick thoughts would have an opportunity to stay in your mind, because there is nothing strong enough to overthrow them. I have never seen a person with a purpose and a burning desire to achieve it complain of bad habits or depression. Why? It's simply because their mind is occupied. Your purpose can be in your business. What can you do to realize your maximum potential in your business? It could be in your spiritual pursuits. It can be your academics if you're still a student. It must be something you love to do and something whose reward is motivating enough. When you fill up your mind with these thoughts, you shall see that the perspective from which you see life is going to change. Not just this, you start to dream clean dreams. You wake up in the morning with full strength and not have some part of your vitality spilled on bed. Nocturnal emission is a kind of spilling that comes while we are asleep. Sometimes it comes as a result of dreams that are erotic, and a few other times, it is a physiological reaction to keep the body internal system balanced. When your thoughts are most basically in the direction of erotic activities, you are likely going to experience this emission for most of your nights, because your dream world where your soul dominates shall reflect what you mostly think about.